A woman so creepy, right? So hello everyone, welcome to the webinar. My name is Mike, I'm the founder of Job Ready English. I'm specialised in helping international students find jobs in the UK for 8 years, since 2013. I think there maybe are some people who operate in the industry who consider me to be a subject matter expert. It's really nice to be able to help you and to serve you, whether you have bought something from us already, you've watched us on YouTube, you follow me on LinkedIn. I think we currently have exposure to about 10 or 20,000 international students, something like that. And our kind of hallmark is that we try to provide quality and super awesome content. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of get going. It'll be really obvious what we're doing once we sort of get into the slideshow. If you've got any questions, there is going to be a Q&A at the end. Pop your questions in the chat or just have a little notepad and you can write them down and ask them. I'll try and burn for as many questions as possible. Quick heads up, I don't answer questions about visas. So very often someone will be like, oh, I've got this visa. I'm not an immigration expert and I'm not an immigration consultant. So just so you know, because I'll just kind of be like, I can't answer that, just to sort of save you the stress. Let's go. All right, so I just got this ready today. This is all about 7 steps to getting hired. There is a lot of information here. The PowerPoint isn't available, so I suggest that you make some notes. At some point, I might make it into an ebook. If that's something that you'd really like, then just let me know and we'll take it under advisement in the team. So what we're going to do today is I am going to aim to get through this presentation in 30 minutes or less. I've got 40 slides to do, so we're going to absolutely fly through this. Then I'm going to give you a quick market update. I always think it's really helpful just to let you know where we're at with our current clients, what we're doing, what we're up to. I try to allow 20 minutes for Q&A. I want to maximize the time for you to really ask questions and get some feedback from me directly. And we will finish probably at 6:55 p.m. because there will be somebody waiting for me and I need to leave. So just so you know, that's all on the board. So who is this guy? So I've been coaching since 2013, spoken to over 30,000 people. I have delivered, I would conservatively estimate 5,000 hours of one-to-one coaching. Currently have a 92% success rate premium clients. We've got 70 plus 5-star ratings on Google and Trustpilot, which is pretty cool, considering Job Ready English has only actually been going since February of 2020. And yes, that was just before COVID. And if you're just wondering how many people come across our stuff, it's pretty bananas. So we get almost over 300,000 impressions every month for people mainly watching us on YouTube or coming onto our website. And again, if you come across something today, some content, something that you'd like us to zoom in on a bit more, just let me know. And we always take it on advisement and we're always working on new content to give you guys. So what are we really looking for today? What's the outcome? I find that super useful to set out a little bit of advice. It's always a good thing to do in a meeting, in a call, just in your day, like what do I aim to achieve? Basically, for you to save time, be better informed, you'll get clear next steps to take with our ebook. That's why some things I won't zoom in on too much because there's a lot of explanations in the ebook. Some of you will have downloaded the 7 steps to get hired ebook. If not, you can get it again. We are also on YouTube. So I think we've got like 2,000 or so subscribers on YouTube and we're releasing weekly videos. That channel is actually growing pretty rapidly. If you want to know more information about us, you can just let us know. I will incredibly briefly talk about the services that we provide and give you a way to contact us, but I'm not going to really, this isn't a sales pitch. This is just a way for me to kind of give back to the community and let you know something more about us. So step 1, we want to know the environment and identify the problem. Just like if I went to India, the United States, Australia to get a job, I kind of want to know the lay of the land and the map and, you know, what's the territory like. There are some constraints for what I'm going to speak about, and it's important to set these out so that we can manage expectations. We do this with client, namely that you are in the UK, you are under a study or skilled worker visa, and you have a 2-1 at bachelor's degree level. You can get a job we mainly target large companies. You can get a job with a 2-2. It just reduces your opportunities. If you're kind of looking to equivocate that, it's 60% plus for pretty much any any degree from any country, apart from select universities in China, which is 70% and above, and you'd be guided by your own faculty. So what are the chances? This is a really good place to start. Current conversion rates for students to switch from a tier 4 to a tier 2 run at about 3.6%. This is data taken directly from the UK Home Office, so it's not my opinion. This is what's happening. If you're wondering why haven't we got any up-to-date data, that's because this is the latest that the Home Office have released. The graduate route, there's a lot of really good positive headwinds over the next 3 to 5 years that I think are going to be really promising for international students. If you're here in the UK and you're on a student visa, then you will be eligible for the graduate route. Again, I won't answer any questions like if I finish on this date, because that's really something to be batted back to a university. And it has been at times absolutely awful. 2014-15 was just phenomenally difficult for students. So it's a good upward trend, but it's still pretty stiff competition, roughly 1 in 25. The basic problem, looking at this through 3 filters, some of you may have watched a video that I released last Friday, is number 1, finding sponsors on the UK government list, which is awful. You can't even download a PDF anymore. You get like this CSV, which then needs to be filtered down. I actually go into that in that video and I'll provide the link for it. You then sort of gamble about whether the company can sponsor or not. This is to do with cost allocation. So basically, can they give certificates of sponsorship? If you don't understand that, I would watch the video because I explain that in detail. And then finally, does the job pay enough to offer sponsorship? So we're looking at 2 tiers. Either it would be about 20,562 or about 25,600, depending on your age. Generally, if you're a graduate, then you're counted as a new entrant to the resident labour market. The RLMT, resident labour market test, was abolished. This was to do with the slew of new visa regulations that came with our incredibly democratic decision to leave the EU. You can read into what you will about my own personal opinion about that. So the basic solution is, if you haven't already done so, you can subscribe to sponsortier2.com. It's super useful. It's a free web app that we designed last year. I think it gets used by now like 100 people a day. It's just really easy to find sponsors, to go to their website. It's just basically us. We source the data directly from the UK Home Office. It's completely free. Plus you can subscribe and get emails twice a week for new sponsors that have been added to the list, sponsors that have been removed. It's really helpful. We tend to target Times Top 100 companies first. We'll talk a little bit about companies later on, but that's pretty important. And we tend to aim at roles that pay above £25,000 where possible. I'm not going to dig in too much about salary because there'll be a broad range of you for like, I want to work in tech, I want to do this, I want to do that. But we kind of want to use these as a rule of thumb. This is something that I have sort of discovered as I navigate through my own experience. So importantly, where I kind of differentiate from what I see from maybe a lot of other agencies and people who provide information is that we're always working with clients and we're always getting results. So this is something, this isn't my opinion. This is actually, I'm testing that data all the time and refining that. What's the 2021 graduate job market like? Pretty much like this. So 2020, we saw a 12% fall. This is directly from reporting from Graduate High Flyers, where they basically poll Times Top 100 companies who concurrently are generally the biggest graduate employers. And it went up by it's projected to go up 2.5%. The long statistics is that it's going to take about another year for the labour market to recover. But let's be honest, that's data that we're taking quarter by quarter. My initial read, I'll kind of talk about that in market update and sort of what's going on with that. But that's just sort of top numbers for you to look at. This is sort of what we're looking at by industry. So this is projecting out, and this is what different companies have sort of said. If you're wondering why the armed forces and public sector has a big X by it, it's because they don't tend to sponsor international students. I know either now or later, someone's probably going to ask me about the NHS. My experiences, they don't sponsor graduates. If you're a doctor, yes. If you're a nurse, yes. If you want to be a management graduate or go and work in the NHS, they don't tend to sponsor you for that. So I'll just kind of knock that one out of the park now. The big numbers we're really looking at is like a very small fall in accounting and professional services, 1.1%. Banking and finance was down about 11%, but there are some good numbers, for example, from investment banking. Law remained pretty consistent. We also saw technology was relatively unchanged. And bearing in mind, this is projecting out based upon figures that were kind of revised in Jan 2021. So we're a little bit behind the curve. But this is the most recent data that we have. We can sort of get a little bit more granular about this from the Institute of Employment Studies, IES, but to be honest, I'm not a member. But they do release some interesting stuff. They release some webinars, and every so often they flash out a white paper because a lot of big companies are members of the IES. So that's kind of the big picture. Post-COVID-19, what are we kind of looking at? Consumer goods, investment banking, consulting look good. Generally, there's a lot of downward trend. Accounting and professional services, I say that's kind of overcooked from kind of seeing what's happening. Same for technology, same for banking and finance. But we've seen a lot of industries who've really paired in, and they're basically saying, look, we're not hiring graduates right now, or we're taking it on a quarter by quarter basis. So we're kind of moving into quarter by quarter is arranged based upon tax year. Tax year ends April. So May, June, July, we've just sort of finished up. Now we're in kind of Q2, depends on the companies that are reporting. But, you know, we're seeing some good trends. We are seeing some strong hiring demand, but also we've seen some companies who kind of opened and closed really quickly. But I'll allude to that in sort of like a zoom in when we get to market update. What's the big picture? Not as bad as 2008, 2009. That was the biggest drop that we ever saw in graduate placements. That was 18%. Funnily enough, that was also when, I think that was when I graduated. God, that was a long time ago. But 12.3%, you know, as you can kind of see, we had a steady upward trend all the way to 2020. Kind of a start of 2020 projected numbers out, and then that fell with COVID. But it is looking, I would say, reasonably promising. We're not that far out of lockdown and kind of social distancing measures being basically let go. There's a lot of developments that are happening with that. But what I would say is companies now have the information that they need to be able to hire, instead of kind of thinking, well, can I have the graduates in? Do I need to train them at home? Do I need to offer hybrid services? So companies are always looking to the government to signal and then kind of go, okay, now I know what it is that I can do. Right, step 2. So habits for success. I always like to set this as a grounding step. Just some things to think about for you in terms of trends that I notice with the clients that I worked with. So just FYI, like I said, I've been doing this since 2013. I've worked with over 500 clients, and I've spoken to well over 30,000 students and professionals, and they exhibit 7 habits. This might sound a little bit like, oh, the 7 habits of highly successful people, like a Stephen Covey book. But to be honest, it's the truth. And I've noticed this time and time again. It doesn't mean that it's going to be quicker, but it does mean that I'm more assured of the result. There is no guarantees. There's no 100% surefire thing. There are a lot of variables to getting a job in the UK, but there are 7 things that I kind of want you to think about that you can incorporate into your own process with what you're doing. So number 1, definitely apply early. There's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of graduate positions which are opening or due to open in September. We've even seen some internships opening. So we've got one client at the moment who's a second year at King's College London. So we're initiating coverage for internships, and we've seen stuff from Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. EY are open for summer 2022 internships. And that is super early. Normally we'd see that in around October. Timings are a little bit off. We'd normally start to see companies open up in September. But I have definitely observed the trend, certainly over the last 3 years, where we're seeing companies open in July and August. This is a great time to hit the apps. You want to be early because you want to get there before everyone else gets there, because they're not going to wait for the deadline to start processing. They're going to start moving people through in batches straight away. Number 2, no fluency, no job. Any of you who are watching this who maybe don't have great English, particularly spoken and written English, you need to make this your priority. However that may be, whether it be language exchange, going to meetups, just engaging in conversation with people, I think that this is really important, and it's something regularly that I see people ignore. There may be those of you out there who say, look, actually, I'm quite shy. I'm a bit socially awkward. I don't know how to do that. That's cool. You can begin to practice at home by yourself, then on camera, record yourself, look back at it, then maybe venture out with some friends and then engage in some meetups. There is no shortcut to this. So this is an important thing to take away. If you are like, my English is really not good, and you'll know this, then you've got to work on that first. Make your job finding a job. What do I mean by that? Well, this is something my uncle said to me when I left university before I got my first job. And actually what I just mean is like scheduling time, diarize it. So if you don't make time to finding a job, everything else is going to come first. Like right now, it'll be like, oh, my dissertation, going on holiday, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my friend, whatever it may be, whatever be your inclination, right? I would always diarize time. So with clients, it's kind of, they probably spend anywhere, the ballpark is like 30 minutes a day doing something. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but that's kind of what I see works. Just make sure you put that in so that everything, otherwise, if you don't schedule it, it's just going to go out the window and you'll get that kind of crippling feeling and sensation with no, you should be doing that thing, but you're not doing it. And it's kind of driving you a little bit mental. Number 4, quality of applications beats quantity. Case in point, one-click applications through LinkedIn and Indeed. Just save your clicks, save your index finger, as far as I'm concerned. I'm yet to find someone who basically managed to get a job through one-click applications. Just hasn't happened. I mean, a good way to think about this is easy for you, easy for everyone else, easy for everyone else, hard for you. So that's really, really important, because generally what has happened is that people are kind of going, oh my God, but it's so easy to do. Yeah, and for 100 other people who do that. So actually it makes it really difficult for you. The next thing is, scheduling practice for each stage. Online test needs practice. Interviews need practice. English needs practice. Assessment centers need practice. And again, this is something you don't have to do straight away, and we're going to dig into this a little bit shortly. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So just bear in mind, average run rate is anywhere between 4 to 6 months, right? So if you're saying like, oh, I want to get a job in 30 days, probably not going to happen. And I'm saying that based on my experience because it could be really frustrating. And lastly, just don't take failure personally. This is really important. It's not about you. It's just about navigating the machine of companies, of application processes. So setting expectations, this is quite important. How long will it take for me to get a job? So current run rate for us is 144 days. So that gives you the inclination. These are clients who have paid us for a premium fee to guide them through the entire process. I'm not saying you can't do it faster than that, but that's my experience with somebody who's working with me one-to-one. COVID-19 has delayed assessment centres by at least 30 days. I've seen this actually run up to 3 months. So we're seeing a lot of slowdown that's kind of picking up now. A better question is really, what can you do today to move up the mountain? And I say this because a lot of times people are like, how long will it take me? What's everything I need to do? And I'm like, dude, what's the one thing that you can do today to move the needle? Is that practicing an online test? Is it submitting an application? What is that? Kind of this isn't a maths equation because, but like my experience results is targeting the right companies, the right roles, plus number of applications times quality of applications times luck plus persistence. Persistence is absolutely key, right? I've got a young man, Amin, his video is on the Job Real English YouTube channel. He has cerebral palsy. He's from South Africa. He's currently working as a consultant at Accenture. He just recently started. And he did 70 applications. I mean, I think it took him about 130 odd days. He was an absolute monster. But there was 2 months when he didn't get an interview. And it's just having times like this. Having a coach helps. So now that you kind of know some figures and know some constraints and you know how long it takes, that can be super helpful. Otherwise, it's kind of like running in the dark and wondering when you're going to arrive at your destination. But still, just be aware that sometimes it is just about grinding it out. turning up, or even just take a few days off, come back and then go again. I'm getting a job step by step. So I will refer to lots of stuff in here. For anybody who's wondering, anyone who's new or has come on the call, I'm going to be posting all the links up at the end. So basically, after I've got to, market update, after I finish that and I do Q&A, I'll just be answering your questions. I'll post all the links, so don't worry. Don't be like, hey, where's this thing? First, complete your CV, right? You can use our free template. We'll post it up in the chat. Optimize for keywords. I've done a lot of videos about CVs. I think I've got a monster of a video that's like 45 minutes long. I go into this in big detail. Just check out the YouTube channel. Just think about matching your CV with a job description. You can test using a free tool like JobScan. It's wicked. Really cool American tech company. There's something similar, nice little company out of Israel who do this, where they will basically test for free how closely matched your CV is to your job description. Honestly, if you're struggling, just hire a freelancer on Fiverr. It'll probably cost you like £10, £20, right? Instead of driving yourself mental for 2 weeks, just pay someone to do it. Otherwise you're paying with your time, which is infinitely more valuable, and you could be doing other things. Just for anyone who's wondering, we don't really do writing CVs, cover letters, but you can book a call with me and I'll basically just go through it with you, but it's not cheap. Okay. Second, make an application plan. Big mistake I see a lot of students make is they don't set their destination. So they're either too vague, like I just want a job. That's kind of like, when you ask them, they're like, I'm hungry. And you go like, oh, what do you want to eat? And they're like, I don't mind. You're like, screw this guy. Do you know what I mean? They're like, oh, I'm not fussy. That's really not helpful. I mean, like, just make a choice and then just stick to it. So we have like a list of like the 83 biggest tier 2 sponsors on a Google sheet. We build on that list to identify 40 to 50 ideal employers. This is building on an idea which comes from the 2-Hour Job Search. Really good book from the US. There's certain things I don't like about the book, like networking and stuff like that. Then you would use sponsortier2.com to check if they sponsor. Then you search company website for vacancies and sign up for email updates, and then be systematic keep records of success and failure. Now you might think, holy cow, that's a lot of stuff to do. Yes. But if you do this properly, if you systematize, now it's going to make your life so much easier. If you're just doing it randomly, you might think you're saving time, but you're going to burn hours, days, weeks of your life just randomly applying for anything that pops up. So practicing online tests, it's really important that you start doing this early. What's going to happen is you'll submit an application. They'll be like, oh, thanks, Steve. Now you can take the online test, and you're like, oh crap, like I haven't even done any. And then you're kind of sitting there sweating, like practicing as many tests as you can, because generally you need to submit in 5 days. The tests we tend to concentrate on are numerical, logical, and situational judgment. I'd say most people stick on logical and situational judgment. My personal recommendation, and I'll throw up a link to that, we work with Job Test Prep, so quick disclaimer, the link that I'll throw up is an affiliate link. We use Job Test Prep because they've been around since 1993 and they're just best in class. Free test providers tend to be poor quality. That's my experience. And if you're thinking about what tests you should start off with, the 2 big players in this market, so there are 6 test providers. There are lots of little ones who just work with like single companies, but SHO and Connexa are sort of the big daddies. So they're good ones to start off with. You're aiming for 80% in each type of test. And then I would get 80% plus in 3 different tests in a row of the same type. So like if you had an SJT, it'd be like, oh, let me get 80% in 3 SJTs, then do the real thing. Basic rule of thumb, 1 test a day for practice. Sending apps. So you've got your sheet. You should then start working through your list. By the way, if you're like, oh my God, like there's all this stuff and I can't write it down fast enough, it's all in the eBook. So I'll give you the link to the eBook. We've got like a 40-something page eBook. Start working through the list. Apps need to get done, right? No application, no job. Apply early, arrange them by deadline. Actually, I would arrange them by recency and hit big companies first. That's best advice for that, because you want to sift through the filter of kind of like, okay, now I've got all these opportunities. Who do I pick first? So these are some constraints to kind of introduce in the process. that will be useful for you. Quality over quantity, always. If you're asked to give a cover letter, give it. Generic cover letters suck hard. So very often someone will be like, oh, do you want to see my cover letter? I'm like, for who? And they'll just send me this generic cover letter, where they just replace the company name and the position. They suck. Don't do it. You can use our cover letter cheat sheet. Oh, and did I say apply early? Vacancy searching. So recent is best. Jobs that are 30 days or older, probably no good. Bin them. Don't bother. We send vacancies twice a week for clients, and we target jobs that have been advertised 3 to 7 days ago. We're really on point with pipeline. If you don't, obviously you can set Google alerts for highly specific keyword searches for highly specific jobs. So you can systematize that process. You might need to play about with it a little bit, but once you kind of get that going, then you'll really be able to work that out. Some recommended vacancy resources, again, all the lists are there. Google Alerts, sponsortier2.com, which is ours, UK Hired, Anastasia's Fabulous, Student Circus. I've had them both on the channel, both of the founders. That's Tripty and Dhruv. They're really cool. I think they're like 5 years in now, 3 years in. And also Target Jobs can filter for companies that offer a work visa. But it's a little bit hit and miss. Honestly, I don't see a lot of movement on Target Jobs, but it's something else that we can use. If I was to recommend any of them, probably Student Circus, because they are serving universities. Some of you may even access them through your university. So Interview Practice, 80% of your interviews will be video submissions, right? So the name of the game is Interview, and there are 3 big players, Highview, Modern Hire, Sonru. You can start practicing early. So one of the first things that we do with clients is we refine their personal introduction to help them sell themselves. And that's something that you can do. Again, videos on YouTube, you can go and download a sheet from there. If you're kind of thinking, where can I find recent questions? Glassdoor, Student Rooms, Wikijobs, these are all great resources. Personally, I tend to get a lot of stuff from Glassdoor. You can also practice most common interview questions. When I say practice, I mean speaking over script writing. A lot of people get paralyzed writing scripts. And if you can, get some feedback. And you don't have to get feedback from a professional. It helps. But if you want, just get feedback from a friend or somebody preferably who's got a job and done some interviews. That would be super helpful. But kind of sitting there in a bubble and just repeating stuff from yourself over and over again is not, it's not practice makes perfect. It's really perfect practice makes perfect, right? Assessment centers. Our experience over the last 18 months is about 60% plus of assessment centers digital. I just had a client go to an assessment center yesterday, and that was physical, but it's rare. It's a hard thing to practice by yourself. Personally, we kind of recommend like case studies and written exercises. Also, just ask your career service for help. Say like, hey, can you organize a mock assessment center? Ultimately, like, you've paid a big fee, so just ask for help, make some noise. It's really important. In the 7 steps to get hired ebook, the link was just coming at the end. I give you a ton of free case study resources. Personally, I really like the case studies from MIT Sloan School of Management. They're spot on, and they're just to the right level of depth and detail to be challenging, but not like mind-boggling, because you don't want to be doing like a 50-page case study, right? Okay. Which company should I target? So this is actually something I don't think I've ever revealed. Not to the public anyway, only our clients sort of know about this. So this is like our top 20%. So these are the 26 companies that really we get the best out of. You can check our website for a full list. We don't provide this list because it's provided internally on an internal platform. Accenture, Amazon, Aon, Bank of America, Barclays, BDO, Bloomberg, BT. Really like them. Citi, Deloitte, Deutsche Bank, EY, Goldman. Anyway, I'm not going to read the whole list. You get the idea. You'll notice a lot of these are professional services, banks or financial services. Why? Because that's our bread and butter. That's what we do in the UK. I mean, I think with the exclusion of maybe BT in that list and Amazon, I suppose. I guess financial, oh God, Amazon sell everything. So I'm sure they probably will do all that stuff if they don't already. And then so on and so forth. But you'll notice they all have a theme. Newton Europe is a rapidly scaling consulting firm. We currently cover 186 companies for our clients. And we're always initiating coverage and kind of snooping out new companies. We're always digging into the list of about 32,000 sponsors. My experience is probably 99% of them just are garbage. Not that they're not good companies, they're just not useful for us in terms of targets. We do sometimes, kind of get some luck with a particular boutique firm like VC, investment management firm, asset management, but we don't initiate coverage on those. We just have clients specifically come to ask us to help them with that. Just finally, what job should I do? Well, you've really just got to think about where the demand is. So we tend to target 6 roles. We do help clients with other stuff, like we've done some engineering stuff, we've done some venture cap stuff, we've done some investment management stuff, and also we tend to deal a lot more with data orientated roles. But our bread and butter is audit, consulting, finance, tech, risk, and ops. What I'd say to you is if you're like, well, I don't want to do that, then just make 2 lists of what you want and what there is. And then you can kind of jump between those lists. Doesn't mean you can't do what you want, but the data will tell you, right? Because the data tells us that clients that we target those roles get results, and clients that we don't target at those roles don't get results. So when clients come on board with us, we'll say, look, we can help you, but you also need to be thinking about this. Not all of them. Some people don't like audit. That tends to be the one that comes up most, but it probably makes up, I would say, at least half of our results. So it's something that I do strongly tend to tell people to consider. How do I pass assessments? This one is relatively easy. So you've got online tests, interviews, and assessment centres. Those are kind of the 3 discrete sections outside of applications. Practice, make the practice real. So practice under time constraints. Online tests are really good for kind of putting this in. Pay if you have to. I don't mean pay us. I just mean pay a provider. Make sure that they're quality and they're highly rated and they've got good social proof. But just kind of wondering about trying to get stuff for free. If you're trying to get a job that pays you, our average client starting salary is £30,000 a year. So if you're targeting those jobs and you're not weighing out, then really what are you doing, in my honest opinion? Schedule it, and just remember repetition is mastery. So I've got a client at the minute, he's preparing for JP Morgan interview, and he's like, God, practice is so boring. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's not sexy, but practice is mastery, and there is no shortcut to that. All right. So like I said to you, I was going to absolutely motor through that in half an hour, which I did. If you've got any questions about that, you can throw it up in the chat. There is going to be a Q&A. I'm going to give you a short market update because I want to kind of let you know, I would say, sort of what's going on now, what I've observed definitely over the last 30 days. And then I'm going to throw it open to you about some Q&A and bits and pieces. So just to kind of let you know, when I talk about staying current, so we take 20 premium clients a year. We saw over 500 vacancies a week. So we always have to be on the pulse of what's going on. So we identify the best potential targets. We generate a vacancy report twice a week, and then we support clients through that process from vacancy to assessment centre. So currently we've got clients actively moving through the process for Mintel, JP Morgan, Bank of America, and EG Group, which is a pair of brothers in Blackburn. They're scaling rapidly. They recently hit the news because they own Euro garages. They now own Asda and Leon, and they're sniffing about Costa. So we're always looking out for those kind of high growth companies because they need a glut of talent. So based on that, a couple of things to note. Morgan Stanley closed their graduate program in 5 days. That was nuts. I just couldn't believe it. I think it happened on the Tuesday. I had a client call me on the Saturday and she said it's shut. And I just went, no, you're wrong. And then I had to sort of get in front of it. I was like, you're right. Lloyds, RBS, and a lot of other banks are openly saying they'll open in September. Expect a flood. So we've already had, I think, 3 clients join us just in August because they want to be ready for the flood, basically. PwC open for 2022. EY open for internships in 2022, first of the big 4. At the minute, it's a little bit slumpy. So there's always a mid-August dip because a lot of staff are on holiday, kind of slows down a little bit. But there's some interesting stuff recently. I'm just talking about what we sort of identified in the last week, like Evercore, the VIA Group, those are both financial services, Aviva, the insurer, Credit Suisse, the bank, EG Group, BNP Paribas, French bank, Admiral, Prosapient. Prosapient are kind of a weird one. They're sort of like a tech SaaS company, but they're hiring like bonkers at the minute. I think they've just had a lump of VC money come in, and we're seeing that kind of rapid expansion as they're like, holy cow, now we've got to grow at like 300% a year. We best get some staff. So just really quickly, I just want to let you know about what we offer. So we have over 133 videos on YouTube. Just search Job Ready English. We've got 2 free courses on Skillshare about cover letters and interviews. We have 10 paid courses and templates. That's at courses.jobreadyenglish.com. I do offer 30 to 60 minute coaching sessions. At the minute, due to really high demand, I only do that on Tuesday and Friday. I think Heather, who was on the call, has had a session with me. I'm not sure who else is on the call. Just imagine me, but just with you for 30 or 60 minutes, you get the idea. We also do offer premium coaching. So we've got 11 spots which remain in sort of the 2021-22 intake. So that's kind of like our intake is kind of like April to April. So we've already had 9 spots of those filled. Why do we take so few clients? Because you all work with me. So you'd see me at least once a week and probably for about 6 months. We limit the intake because it maximizes quality, and we're all about results. So finally, for the Q&A, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick all the webinar links in the chat. Just as a reminder, so I've kind of got about 18 minutes to answer any questions. Please don't ask me like immigration or visa questions, because I won't answer them. I just don't know how, and it's not ethically correct for me to do that. So, really anything about finding a job is good. If you want to know more about our services, then feel free to send your CV into an email to mike@jobreadyenglish.com with webinar in the title. And we will get back to you, or one of the team will get back to you. So I'm just going to stick that in to the chat for you. And that's it. So over to you guys. Questions, comments, concerns, anything that okay. So Juliana asks, is there any chance to get a job in the UK if you did an MSc in a British university but left the country because your student visa expired? I was lucky to find a tier 2 sponsor, but the job offer was rescinded due to the COVID pandemic. Thanks. Honestly, you need to be in the UK. So you need to be in the UK under a student visa, under a worker visa. I know it's probably not the answer that you want to hear, but for kind of my 2 cents, we do get requests from a lot of candidates who are kind of based all around the world, and they'll say, I'm in this country, can you help me? And my answer, really sadly, is probably not, just because it's not it'd be the same thing of me trying to get a job from the UK and the States. So that's that, I'm afraid. My apologies. Any questions, guys? Just unmute, type it in. Don't be shy. Come and say hi. Okay, cool. Thank you. So a couple of questions. Oh, sorry, Badiada. I just sent that straight to you. Okay, so next, what if an international student prepares to come over there in January intake because all the companies post their vacancies in September? Well, then you just get ready for September 2022. I mean, you can't. Not all companies don't open their vacancies, but a majority of them do. So you just need to sort of have that in your mind. Generally, we're trying to sort of move a lot of clients through the process in July to October, but we deal with vacancies all year round. There's always something. It's just a case of finding pipeline and initiating coverage. So I wouldn't worry about that, because that's a variable that can't be controlled. Just gives you more time to prepare for the next intake. Thank you. Anurag, is it difficult to get a tier 2 visa for experienced candidates for jobs in marketing, digital brand? You're going to have to be a little bit more specific with the question, because I'm not sure what you mean. Are you based in the UK? If you're here studying a master's, then no. I think the oldest candidate that I've dealt with was 37 and got a graduate position. So it doesn't really matter. It's not a constraint, but I wouldn't target jobs in marketing because they tend not really to pay sufficiently. So Dr. Isaac, What are big companies under healthcare? That's a difficult one because the major one would be the NHS. If you are a medical doctor, I would strongly think about contacting an agency residing in your country because, of course, we're desperate for inbound medical talent, as is pretty much every developed country in the world. But really, you kind of want to be dealing with an agency in your country who can help you to make access and come in. Right. Sorry, I'll just pop you. So I'll try and, Dr. Isaac, I'll come. If you've got another question, just pop it in the chat. So I just want to make sure that because I've got quite a few questions coming up. You're welcome. So, sorry. Bugger. Sorry. Right. Okay. Oh, that's much more. Can I move this? Oh, brilliant. Cool. Now I can see it for fun. So Kirfi says, I am an architect, will be completing my master's at UCL Bartlett by next September. When should I start my application? How is the scope for architecture and construction post-COVID? Good question. I only know this because I was actually going through the SOC codes, Standard Occupational Classified Codes. So the bar for architects is reasonably high. I think sort of salary starting at about 35K. I would say you would start now. Construction is good. Construction is booming here. So what I would do is, I would probably recommend, if you want some help, why don't you drop your CV through on an email to me so I can maybe sort of have a chat with you about it. But probably now is always a good time to start. It's not very helpful. We do tend to navigate some large construction and real estate companies. We haven't really dealt with architecture companies, but it's an interesting problem that I could probably dig into a little bit more. Seven, do all the companies offer graduate jobs in Jan? No, they offer them all different times. Some companies are constantly hiring. Some companies will only open their main main intake, as it were, in September, but we tend to base it around September. What are the best tech companies to apply for an internship now? Moo? I don't know. Probably all the ones that you know, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, those types of companies. I don't think there is a best company. I tend to not really. There's a link which is like the link number 16, like 2021 companies actively sponsoring international students. That has a ton of tech companies. I'd go and check that out. Moo? How is the situation like for recent graduates? Slow. So I think a lot of not just home, so we actually get quite strong demand from home students as well as international students at the minute. I think we're just seeing everything being super slow at the minute, but we are seeing movement. For me, the really important thing for graduates is to be early, which means securing good pipeline to vacancies, making sure that you're applying within a week or a couple of days. I think that's all you can do because the rest of the variables are kind of outside of your control. But I would say, like, it's generally the situation post-COVID is not great, but compare that to, and we see similar stuff in, major cities in the United States. We see the same in China. Like, basically, we've got a big pool of supply and limited demand. So you need to sort of change the variables so that you're getting in early before other people instead of applying late. So it's definitely more about being prepared, being quick off the mark. I think that's super important. So Sevin asks, I'm an MSc Accounting and Finance student. I have now 6 months UK experience from In Practice accounting firm. Can I apply for both graduate and experience role? Depends on the role. To be frankly honest, you need to read the job description. Basically, if it's just 6 months, I would kind of say no. When it comes to accounting firms, particularly professional services, they're basically looking for someone who's qualified or not qualified. That's kind of their bar to entry, as it were. I think that's really important. So it really depends based upon the job description. I think that's super important. Cool. Any more questions? So I've still got like 10 minutes. So just throw them at me. Whatever you want to ask, whatever's good for you, throw me the questions, or just let me know, like, is this useful? Would you like me to do another webinar like this? Would you prefer that the webinar's longer? Like, any feedback that you could give me would be super helpful. Okay, so Abdul Kareem, hi, as a graduate of mechanical engineering going for MSc this September, what online course or prep do I need to easily get a job, and what other likely jobs? Meh. I mean, so this is a real LinkedIn thing. For me, it's about getting skin in the game, right? So, is you taking an online course really going to move the needle? Is it a major move or a minor move? For me, 9 times out of 10, it's a minor move. I think really, honestly, the best thing that you can be doing is improving your English, getting your online test done, like basically putting action into the things that matter and are going to move, rather than kind of thinking about another way that you can do stuff which really doesn't address the point. You know, you've got online tests, interviews, assessment centers. That's moving the needle. You're getting a job application done. You're identifying companies that you're going to start targeting. You're hitting the ground running in September and you're getting those applications out. Online courses, have I ever seen it make any difference? Personally, no. So, do the sponsorship license companies have any cap on number of employees they can hire? No, they don't have a cap, but the cap is certificates of sponsorship. So if you look in the list of links that I gave you, like number 3, with the 3 filters to find a tier 2 sponsor, I would watch this. Yeah. Because I basically explain about certificates of sponsorship and maximum amounts and stuff like that. Are all online tests are time-based? No, but most are. Some online tests, so like we've seen this recently, who would do this with EY? It wasn't kind of limited, but most of them are, and I find that it's more effective to practice it under time-limited conditions. Rabia asks, what are the chances for a low degree from a UK uni, a 2-2? I think they're still good, but I think you've just got to be a little bit more selective. If you go to jobreadyenglish.com, there is actually a blog post where I think I wrote out like 60 companies that accept a 2-2, but you're just limited. A lot of companies are asking for a 2-1. So I would just be really selective in the companies that you're approaching. And I would start with that list. If you go to jobreadyenglish.com blog, then I've said that. A couple of people have asked about the recording. The presentation, no. So I'm not going to be sending out the PPT, sorry. But the recording, yeah, sure, why not? I'll probably post this up on YouTube. So just as a quick poll, do people want me to do more webinars? If you just post yes or no in the chat, that'll be really helpful for me to get a quick guide. Yes. Oh, that's quite a lot of yeses. Oh, goddamn. All right then. All right. Abdul Kareem getting super excited. He's like, why? Okay, cool. Do I get the feedback of online test result? Sebin, if you're talking about like from the company, nah. Like you might get super generic feedback, which is a bit like meh, but really the best feedback you can get is from an online test provider. So what I would suggest is if you just go and get a package from Job Test Prep, I think that's like number 13. Just so you guys know, probably what I'm going to do is I've got all your emails from Luma. So I will email you the link for those of you who aren't subscribed to us so that you can get those links again. I've got 5 years marketing experience. Kajal asks, got 5 years marketing experience, but I want to apply for consulting roles. How can I project my CV for grad role schemes? Match the CV to the job application, right? So if you go onto YouTube, look for Job Read English and just look for our videos on CVs. There's a monster video that I did that's like 43 minutes long. Well, I explain this in excruciating detail. We've also got a CV template. I kind of explain this. I finished my course this next month. Can I apply for grad roles coming up for 2022? Yeah, you would do. So basically, if roles are open 21, like September 2021, they're starting for 22. There are like 1 or 2 companies who do March starts, mainly PwC. But yeah, you're basically going to be applying to start in 2022. Plus, get that graduate route in, get the graduate scheme done. What's it like, £876, something like that? I mean, that's just gold, because then you can start getting skin in the game, get into some startups, just sort of be getting some work experience. Ashish asked, does business count as work experience? Can you just clarify that? Do you mean having a business, being in business, being dressed business style? Could you sort of clarify that? That would be super helpful. Any more? So, owning a business, hell yes, definitely. And I would quantify that: sales, clients, services, sort of customers, that kind of thing. Patricia, I'm an incoming final year econs undergrad. Would you suggest I apply for graduate roles, or say I'm doing a master's and apply for some internship to increase my chances? I'm interested in finance and consulting. That's a good question. I would do both, personally. I would do both and just do 2 separate email addresses, because that's super sneaky. I didn't say that, but that's what I would do. I would do both, just to kind of, and maybe, you know, like flag out 10 apps, see what it's like. Yeah, I don't see why you have to choose, but I would sort of do both. I mean, you're early for internships, like EY's open, Morgan Stanley's open, JP's open, but you're pretty early. So yeah, I would start getting those both out. Just as a quick idea, is there any particular subject that you'd like me to cover in the next webinar? Would you like me to cover the same subject? Any ideas, just throw it up, let me know. If not, I will probably send out an email through Luma like tomorrow, or maybe straight after the call, because otherwise I'll forget. Like I said, so I'll just put this in again. If you want to know more about our services, here is the contact details, and you can throw that out there. So just pop your CV over to mike@jobreadenglish.com. Just put webinar in the title. It'd be super helpful for me if you can just kind of explain the story. Just so you know, I don't really engage in sort of long form free conversations, because if I'm being brutally honest, I just don't have the time. So I need to be able to offer content at scale. This will go out on YouTube maybe next week. I don't know. I have to ask my assistant, otherwise he may like boof me in the face. Cool. Well, listen, thanks so much, guys. I think we're almost at time. What time for one more quick question? Okay, cool. I'll let you know about the next event. If you just kind of keep an eye out on the old LinkedIn, then that'd be sweet. I'll probably do like same again, to be honest. Maybe a little bit more time, because I think I was speaking at like 60,000 words a minute. Sorry. But you definitely improve your English listening skills. Guys, you're really welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. It is an honor to serve you guys and to provide you with help, because other people should be doing it and they're not, but that's a conversation for another day. Thanks, team. And we'll call it a day. Bye.